By the end of this build, you'll understand how to use subgraphs to quickly gather blockchain data and then present that data through a Flask web server, making your first Dapp. Welcome to the video version of building your first Dapp with Python, Flask, and Subgraphs. Click the link down in the description for the written version of this tutorial. Building a Dapp or decentralized application has its advantages. Dapps are digital applications that run on a blockchain network of computers instead of relying on a single computer or company. Because Dapps are decentralized, they are free from the control and interference from a single authority. So today, we're going to build our Dapp's backend and leave the hosting of the Dapp to part 2 of this tutorial. Our backend will rely on Subgraph technology. As you can tell by that really loud promo video, subgraphs are powerful. They allow blockchain indexing. Just how Google indexes and then allows users to search Web 2, subgraphs index then allow users to search Web 3, or the blockchain. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and go over the objectives for today's tutorial. Number 1, we're going to set up a Python web server with Flask. 2, we're going to access blockchain data using a subgraph. 3, we're going to present this blockchain data clearly on a simple table. From there, we're going to have a decentralized application, or a Dapp. Look out for part 2 of this tutorial, where we will publish this Dapp on IPFS to make it fully decentralized. So here's a preview of what we're going to be building. It may not look like much, but it means a whole lot. What you're looking at are the top transactions in the history of the token exchange Uniswap. This Dapp will be called Top Swaps. All transactions on the blockchain are public. Now let's compare that to centralized transactions made through a bank such as Bank of America or Chase. We would never be able to see the top transactions of all time. All of these transactions would be hidden, but in the blockchain, we can see everything. So let's build a Dapp based on these huge transactions that are occurring through the token exchange Uniswap. Let's get ready to build Top Swaps. Okay, enough of the talking, let's get building. First things first, let's set up our virtual environment. In your code editor, open up a terminal and create your virtual environment entering python 3-m venv.venv. In this .venv folder, we can install all the requirements for our Dapp. So now that we've created our virtual environment, let's activate it. Put this code into the terminal, press return, and bam, we've got a virtual environment ready to install dependencies. Here are the dependencies that we're going to be using for our Dapp. First things first, we have Flask. If you're not familiar with Flask, Flask is a web framework, which basically means it takes information from our Dapp and puts it onto a web page. It's small, requires just a few lines of code, and it's pretty dang quick. So because of that, we're going to use it for our Dapp. Next dependency we're going to install is .env. This allows our Dapp to pass secure information around our files internally in a very safe way. If you don't know about .env or any type of environment variables that need protection, you really should read up on this. Next, we're going to install requests, which allows for sending HTTP requests easily. And finally, we're going to install JSON to HTML, which takes our data and converts it into a beautiful HTML table. Everything's ready. We've got our virtual environment all activated, we've installed our dependencies, and we're ready to start our server. In your home directory, go ahead and create a file, app.py. You're then going to write this code into app.py. We're going to take all of the things that we installed in our dependencies and import them. Next, we're going to get our Flask app up and running. Type in this code. With just these 3 lines of code, Flask is ready to get going. Now, let's tell Flask that this file is the main file that should run when Flask is activated by entering this code in the terminal that tells app.py should be the Flask app. Let's also tell Flask that it should be in debug mode, which means it will quickly restart the server anytime we change app.py, so we don't have to manually restart it every single time we change our code. Very cool. We've got things ready to get going. Connecting our server to our front end is going to be what we do next. So take this code that you see right here and put it right below all of that code that you wrote previously. What you're looking at is a route. This route is simply /, and / is just your home page. So you're looking at a route that says when you go to your home page, you're going to render index.html. Let's create that index.html right now. Create a folder, name it templates, and then insert a file called index.html. Let's get into index.html. Go ahead and type !enter, and you should see a whole template just pop up right there for you. Make a few edits that you see right here. We're going to change the title to Top Swaps, and we're going to test our server by entering this H1 code, testing our server. Bam. Now we have a basic landing page ready to connect to our Flask server. Let's run our Flask server. Type in Flask run in your terminal, and you should see this code pop up in your terminal. Go ahead and click on the link right there, and bam, look at it. We have testing our server showing up loud and clear on our web page, running on the 127.0.0.1 5000 homepage. Amazing. You've made a web page. Okay, so let's calm down a little bit. Let's get back to work. We're going to create a form now on our HTML web page, index.html, for user input. They're going to have to enter the number of top swaps they want to see. So to do this, we need to update our index.html to give them a form that we can get the input and then process it. Go ahead and take a look at this code and see what you could see. What you're looking at for that first input is a number input that the person will put in, and that will be named top swap count, so we can gather that data later. And the next is going to be a button with the type of submit that will allow that data to transfer through Flask, and then we can process it. Okay, so if you've made the changes that you've seen in my demo, you can go back to your web page and it should look different. It should look something like this. So, very cool. We've set up a Flask server. We've set up some inputs for our users. Now let's get our backend set up. So the backend is really, in my opinion, where this Dapp shines. This Dapp gets its data from Subgraphs. Before Subgraphs, indexing and searching blockchain data was challenging and slow. It would take days to index and then search blockchain data. But with Subgraphs, it takes seconds. There are many different types of subgraphs, each designed to search for different locations on the blockchain. You can find a list of the currently deployed subgraphs at thegraph.com/explorer. So let's go find the subgraph that would allow us access to the part of the blockchain that we are interested in, Uniswap. Let's go to the Graph Explorer page and find the Uniswap v3 decentralized subgraph, which allows access to Uniswap blockchain data. Then we'll design our GraphQL query for our Dapp. GraphQL is an easily readable language specifically designed to query APIs. Subgraphs are designed to take a GraphQL query and respond with the data that's been requested. Let's design our GraphQL query. To get familiar with GraphQL, go to the Playground button on the Uniswap subgraph page. This will show you a wonderful GraphQL interface that will allow you to easily query the subgraph in small test queries that you may want to use for your Dapp. What you see on the left is GraphQL. It automatically populates two really easy GraphQL searches, first 5 tokens and first 5 reward tokens. Go ahead and press play, and then from there, you will see the data live from the subgraph. You're actually getting blockchain data right in front of you. So now that we know what GraphQL looks like, let's click on the button to the right of the playground right here, where we can design our query to find the top swaps of this subgraph. Let's find this data. 1, the value of the token transaction. 2, who it's from and who it's going to. 3, when it occurred. And 4, the names of the tokens swapped. See if you can design this exact GraphQL query. You're going to have to click around a little bit. See if you can make it yourself. Once you get the query that looks just like this, you can test the query. Click on the big play button, and there you go. You're seeing live blockchain data through Uniswap. The amount in USD, from, to, token in with the name, and token out with the name. So now that we've designed our GraphQL query, go ahead and copy it, bring it into your app, and now your app.py file should look just like this. To review, the playground is really a playground to figure out what your GraphQL query should look like. Now that you have it in your app.py file, let's connect that little bit of code directly to the subgraph. To do this, we're going to have to point that code to the subgraph endpoint, and then we're going to have to access that endpoint using an API key. Let's go find our API key and that endpoint. At the Uniswap page, click on the query button in the top right. Go ahead and copy that query URL, and then copy that into your app.py file, just like this. Now we're going to have to get the API key to access this link. Go ahead and click on Manage API Keys right here. And then you're going to need to connect to your wallet. If you haven't created a crypto wallet just yet, go ahead and create one right now. MetaMask is the most popular, but there's other options. Once you've connected your wallet, you're ready to create your first API key. The graph gives you 1,000 free queries with your first API key creation. Let's use those queries to test out our new Dapp. Click the Create API Key, and then bring that API key into your .env file. Remember talking about .env files, environment variables, earlier in the tutorial? If you need, go ahead and review that tutorial from earlier in the video right now. Once you've got everything set up, your app.py file should look something like this. I've added a print function to confirm that your API key is being imported correctly. If you run this, you should see your API key in your terminal. Now let's run our query through the Uniswap subgraph. We're not using Playground, we're actually in our Dapp now. However, before we could run our query, we have to give our app some logic. Let's go ahead and build some of that logic right now. Go to your route and add this code. This code gathers the data that's been inputted by the user. They're going to be inputting a number, and you need that number. Now that you have that number saved as a variable, let's use that number to update our GraphQL query dynamically. Wrap your app.py query variable with this update query function. You can see it has a replace method at the very bottom. It's looking for the words replace me, and then it's going to actually replace me with the input number. Let's take our newly updated query and query the subgraph. Then save that response as a new variable, response. We'll then print its contents. Let's test it. Let's enter a number into our homepage and see if we can actively query the subgraph. Boom. You should see the data in your terminal as such. Let's now make this data pretty. Update your app.py with this code, which will send our response content to the front end of the server if it's all functioning correctly. And if it's not functioning correctly, we'll add this else statement. This will just run index.html as a blank page if nothing's working. Now our backend is passing the data to our front end. Let's have our front end receive that data. Go to index.html and add this single line of code for your front end to receive the information from the back end. This is called Jinja data handling. If you're unfamiliar with Jinja, check out this link. Go ahead and enter a number into your input field, submit, and boom, you have a fully functioning Dapp. We are done. You've created your very first Dapp. All that would be left to do to fully decentralize this Dapp would be to host your Dapp on a decentralized network, such as IPFS. Then, TopSwaps would live on the Ethereum blockchain forever. Stay tuned for part 2, where we will do just that. Hopefully this was helpful in getting you started in Dapp development. Here's a link to the completed project. And if you'd like to reach out, you can find me on Twitter at Marcus_REIN_.